Espero que tenham aproveitado, né, do nosso workshop e que a gente tenha agregado bastante conhecimento aí para vocês sobre essas profissões, sobre essas áreas bastante potenciais nos Estados Unidos. Para quem não me conhece, que está aqui a primeira vez ainda, meu nome é Fernando, né? E esse é um workshop exclusivo da Experimento em parceria com a Into, o nosso parceiro de universidades nos Estados Unidos e na Inglaterra. Peço para vocês só para confirmarem se está tudo ok com dispositivo, conexão com a internet, tá? E pedir para vocês utilizarem o chat para fazerem perguntas aí ao longo do nosso evento. No finalzinho, para quem tiver dúvida, quiser contatar uma loja, a gente vai disponibilizar um QR Code para vocês, né, escanearem aí com o celular e serem direcionados diretamente aí para a loja mais próxima, tá? Gostaria de convidar aqui meu amigo Rai, que ele vai dar continuidade com vocês, se apresentar, e em seguida ele vai introduzir e vai apresentar para vocês o Jeff, da Hofstra University. Obrigado, pessoal, e bom evento.
Oi, pessoal, boa noite. Prazer, eu sou Raimberg Aprígio da Into. A Into é uma rede de 9 universidades nos Estados Unidos, 8 no Reino Unido. A Hofstra University, que vai apresentar hoje, ela é uma das nossas universidades parceiras. A gente está aí há mais de 15 anos no mercado, já colocamos mais de 5 mil alunos de 150 países diferentes para estudar nas nossas universidades, com todo o suporte e apoio necessário. Hoje a gente vai falar um pouquinho da Hofstra University, especificamente dos programas de Film Production e Empreendedorismo, né? Mas saibam que essa universidade especificamente tem mais diversas graduações. A gente só quer trazer alguns dados e esclarecer um pouquinho sobre essas profissões especificamente para vocês aprenderem aí nessa jornada. Jeff, you're up.
Hi. Thank you, Ray, for that great introduction. Guilherme and Fernando, so nice to see both of you. It's been a long time. And yeah, you're both looking well. Thank you so much, Experimento, for hosting this. I'm very honored to be a part of it. Welcome all of the guests. Today we're talking about Hofstra University and job opportunities there for students looking at entrepreneurship and also film studies. So you should be able to see my screen. We have a lot of information to cover. The plan for today, first we're going to look very briefly at Hofstra's locational advantage, which is New York City. And then we're going to look in more detail, a lot of detail, in fact, at how studying entrepreneurship and then filmmaking can really boost your futures in terms of professional opportunities. There are loads of careers right now emerging in the United States and abroad, outside, back in Brazil and elsewhere, for people who are starting businesses and in the film production industry. So then we're going to briefly look at our admissions costs, right? And how do we, fund our education? And then, of course, some of the more general career outcomes. I will be mixing today's presentation with a lot of help from colleagues at Hofstra University. They cannot join me live, but I have a real interesting combination of faculty and deans, in fact, who are going to be participating into this presentation. So I hope it's lively and it gives you a good range of, it's not just me talking to you for 45 minutes. Of course, if you've been to New York, you know JFK, the main airport there. We're not far from there. It's about 20 minutes by car. We're in between New York City and basically like where the beaches are on Long Island. We're actually quite close to the beaches. So we're only about, by car, maybe 45 minutes to Manhattan. There's a fast train that can get you there in 30 minutes or so. So, right, you have the beaches on Long Island, which are great. Lots to do in New York City, of course, museums and sites. But for you, the most important thing about studying in a New York area school is the access to opportunities, to jobs. And that's what we're going to talk about now. But I just want you to look at a quick 1-minute video to give you a taste of what maybe being at Hofstra is going to feel like. Trying to get this going. Oh, let me hold on 1 second. There we go. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Okay. We're a young school, actually. We used to be part of New York University. So NYU, about 100 years ago, they had a Long Island campus, and that was Hofstra. In the 1930s, we became independent. Now we have about 11,000 students. Even though there are only, I think, technically about 90 countries represented on F1 visas, because it's a New York school, most of our students are feel like they're connected to another culture, right? So in fact, it's much more multicultural than that number may suggest, right? Anyway, you can see there on the little map where we're very well situated near to Jones Beach, Long Beach, and then, by train, 45 minutes, 30 minutes on the express train, right to the Times Square area of Manhattan, actually to Penn Station, where the Empire State Building is. Our rankings kind of speak for themselves. We're a large nationally ranked university. And we're very well known. We are quite comprehensive as well. I know we're going to be speaking mostly about business or entrepreneurship in particular and film, but Hofstra is one of only 3 universities in New York that has colleges of law, medicine, and engineering. The other ones are NYU and Columbia University. We are very highly ranked for business, as you can see here, engineering also, liberal arts. We're going to go into a lot of detail on the first 2, but let's, we have tons of programs. So whatever you're interested in studying, whether your English needs to improve, whether you want to do even a short-term program, a graduate certificate, whether you want to transfer from another university, we have many different entry routes. So what's important is that you look at the subject, that once you determine what it is you want to study, then Experimento can help you get into the university the best pathway possible. Speaking of pathways, you might know that for students who need improvement in English, we offer conditional admission, which allows students to join their university classes, their graduate school classes together with American students, while at the same time they take extra language classes so they can improve their English and at the same time both earn university credit, right, studying together with Americans, and then also you earn university credit studying English as well at the undergraduate level. So it basically saves students time to get their degree and really helps students succeed because of the integration and the added support that these designated professionals and tutors give the conditionally admitted students on the pathway. So it's a really very excellent program, and one that even American students inquire about because it's kind of like a VIP service. So very beneficial. Keep in mind that Americans, when they go away to college, if they're going to Hofstra or other schools, for them too, it's a new experience. And a lot of them have difficulties with their grades, with socializing. So oftentimes students don't do well initially at college, at university. So what we do is we ensure student success. At Hofstra, in fact, our student success is about 100%. I think almost all of our students were successful in their first or second 2 semesters on these pathways. But anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail on that. We're here to talk about business. And the first people I want to introduce you to, it's going to be about, I think it's around a 10-minute talk thereabouts. We go into great detail about this entrepreneurship program at Hofstra, what it's about, why it's an excellent, in fact, it's one of the more premier types of programs in entrepreneurship in the nation. And we're going to have the 2 women who run this program explain it to you. So listen carefully, and I hope you enjoy this. Again, it's around 15 minutes, okay? And then we'll move on to film. Let's see.
My name is Stacy Sykes. I'm Executive Dean of Entrepreneurship and Business Development at Hofstra University.
And my name is Sharon Goldsmith. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of Entrepreneurship and Business Development. But it's been a really exciting experience because we see ourselves as a startup. You know, we're only a few years old, and we're constantly sort of changing to try to be as cutting edge as possible and to try to expose students to all of the new trends And Hofstra University really gives us the autonomy to try new things. And so we've had all sorts of light touch events for students who maybe aren't sure if they want to be entrepreneurs or not. So with the Computer Science Society, we'll throw hackathons. We've worked with the Hofstra University Startups Club on some pitch events. We've worked with the Music Business Program with a guest lecture series. So we're always thinking about ways to touch students that maybe aren't sure they want to be entrepreneurs.
Our model is the Harvard iLab. So the Harvard iLab focuses on student venture creation as well as creating connections with the community. And that's what we do. We have a dual mission. So we help incubate student ideas and help students develop their entrepreneurial skills. And if they want to pursue their business, we have the resources at the incubator to support them in pursuing those businesses. But we also work with companies all over Long Island, all over the region, and all over the country. And that's through several programs. So
Hofstra University founded their Center for Entrepreneurship in 2015. They did a lot of benchmarking, looking at other universities and how they run their centers. So they looked at Harvard and
Abson.
What are the other ones? Drexel, just to see what kind of entrepreneurial activity really made a difference on campus. And then they took the best practices from all of those schools and created Hofstra Center for Entrepreneurship. So the Center for Entrepreneurship has the business incubator, which is the physical location for all of the activity that goes on. And we also have a makerspace, which is our prototyping lab. And that's where we have 3D printers and laser etchers and all sorts of high technology prototyping equipment. So if a student wants to start a company utilizing some sort of physical product, they no longer have to leave campus to build their prototype. They have all the resources right here at Hofstra University in the business incubator. Some of the other activity that happens in the business incubator is that startup companies rent space in the business incubator, which allows them to utilize some tax benefits that New York State provides, which encourages them to plant their feet at Hofstra, but also provides students a really unique opportunity to get hands-on experience, on-campus internships, and work directly with startup companies, which I personally think is a more impactful internship model. At a large company, you might be running inter-office mail around or filing papers or things of that nature, but when you're working at a startup, it's all hands on deck. So students really get the experience of how to get a company going, and I think that's really exciting. Entrepreneurial skills are so important, and companies are looking for ways that they can advance what they're doing. And so students who graduate and have any sort of entrepreneurial spirit and experience and skills that function really wonderfully in an entrepreneurial setting. So companies like 3M and Google, Amazon really encourage their employees to think outside the box and come up with new ideas, new product lines, and they're really given the freedom to do so because that advances what the company wants to accomplish. We've had a student who competed in our business plan competition and won second place 2 years in a row. And he was actually the first Hofstra student to go on and work as a programmer at Google. And he was told at his job interview that they particularly liked his resume because he had this entrepreneurial experience. So we're seeing that companies are really excited that we're providing students with that opportunity, and it makes students really marketable upon graduation. I think entrepreneurs are really motivated to not work for somebody else and to really get something going on their own. But you can be entrepreneurial inside a company, which is that entrepreneur word that everybody's using nowadays. But I think there's sort of very little difference in the spirit and the skill set required.
So we use something called the business model canvas in our mentor sessions and in our boot camp, and lean launchpad methodology. So it's pretty common now in entrepreneurship today to not focus on developing a full business plan, but really focusing on the ever-changing aspects of your business model. And that's what the business model canvas allows the students to do. It's a one-page document, and it focuses on the different aspects of developing their business, and it's a living, breathing document. And then in our business plan competition, the students put together a pitch, which we give them a format for. They conduct customer discovery, which is actual interviews with potential customers that relates back to their business model development. And then they do an executive summary on their business, and we teach them how to do all of that. Each university can have its own model. So one university might have an entrepreneurship center that lives in its business school. One might be focused on a particular sector. At Hofstra University, our Center for Entrepreneurship is unique because it's open to every single student. It's not just open to business school students. So we are a great multidisciplinary platform for collaboration for students. So students of different disciplines work on their business ideas together. We have a lot of programs that cater to students of different disciplines, studying different disciplines. So we work with the business school on their Entrepreneurship 115 course and provide hands-on learning in that course with our entrepreneurs in residence. But then we also work with the School of Health Professions and Human Services on a program called the Healthcare Entrepreneurship Community Challenge, where students get to work with healthcare entrepreneurs throughout the entire world on developing their business ideas. And then we also have a very unique student-run record label for students who are interested in music business, and I will pitch that over to Sharon.
So I have quite unique experience prior to going to Hofstra University. I was formerly the director of finance and human resources for a company called G-Unit Records. We were a joint venture with Universal Music Group and eventually an independent record label owned and operated by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. So through my experience working in the music industry, he was an extremely motivated entrepreneur, and we worked in very many verticals. We had a sneaker, which was the highest selling Reebok branded sneaker to date. We also had some consumer electronic products. We had a charity. We had a clothing line with Marc Ecko that was wildly popular. So I really sort of cut my teeth learning how you can use music as the lifestyle and centerpiece for all these other business ventures. And when I came to Hofstra University, I really wanted students to use something that's so common. It's the lowest common denominator. I've never met a person that doesn't like music, as a way to think about how do we build a team of people that work together? Why is it so important to be interdisciplinary? Why is it important to have the finance side of the company interacting with the new media and computer science students, interacting with the art students? And so I put a call out to student volunteers. I'm allowed to take 20 students every spring. We're in our third cohort now. We've had 357 applicants for the 60 spots I've opened up. So it's a highly competitive program because I think it's really exciting and it's really unique. And what the students do is they come together and they're given a pot of money and they sign an artist and we commercialize the music and we develop the marketing plan and we develop the art and we do photo shoots, music videos, and we release the music on Spotify and Apple Music and Deezer and all the international streaming services. So it's a worldwide exposure of the work that the students get to do, which I think is so impactful because we're in such a global society and music is such a global instrument, and the students get to try things that they wouldn't be able to try when they're out in the business world. So the risk is a lot lower. I don't hold them to turning that pot of money into millions of dollars. However, there are real repercussions if we don't turn a profit. So I think it's an excellent motivator, a great way for students to work together, and it's something that makes our center very unique.
So the other thing I think that adds value to students interested in entrepreneurship is our connections to the local entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're right next to New York City, where there's a plethora of incubator programs, accelerator programs, seed funds. So for students who really want to get more experience than just at Hofstra and want to network with entrepreneurs all over New York City, we could bridge those connections and provide those networking opportunities to students. So we hold a lot of events at Hofstra that provides networking with these types of entrepreneurs. So we bring them to campus. So we have hold a women in entrepreneurship event. We've held a biotech career panel event with biotech entrepreneurs, health professions entrepreneurs. We have a maker fair at Hofstra where students can try out our makerspace technology. So we have a lot of events at Hofstra, but we also promote regional and national opportunities to our students. So we have just this semester alone, we have students participating in the New York State Business Plan competition, which is this New York statewide. All the colleges and universities around the entire state submit students to participate in that competition. The Draper competition for women at Smith College. The Women's Business Enterprise National Council Accelerator Program. So we have a lot of connections to students who are interested in expanding outside of Hofstra and getting some additional entrepreneurial experience. So our winner this year of the Hofstra Digital Remedy Venture Challenge developed her prototype working with our student makerspace technician, who is not an international student. Our team of international students who won 2 years ago, their team name was Countrybox. They won $20,000 at the Hofstra competition and $10,000 at New York State. And there were 2 international students and 1 domestic student who was on the team. We have over $60,000 worth of makerspace equipment. That includes 3D printers, the latest 3D printing technology. So we have Formlabs, 2 Ultimakers, a Stratasys 3D Mojo printer. We have a full spectrum laser cutter, an HTC Vive, which is a virtual reality headset. We have an Arduino and Raspberry Pi programming device educational kit. We have a mill, a Squink, which is a PC board fabricator, a Phantom 3 drone, and then we have a fashion tech area, which is with an embroidery machine, a sewing machine. We have a vinyl cutter, we have a laminator.
We also have video camera equipment.
Yes.
The latest Canon DSLR equipment for students who want to shoot promotional videos and take pictures of what they're working on. So we really provide students, the highest technology, the latest technology, and they're allowed to just roll up their sleeves and utilize it themselves. We have makerspace technicians. We have a current engineering student who loves to tinker in there, and he's always available to help students who may not know how to work the equipment, to teach them and get them trained. So the barrier to entry is really low, and any student is always welcome.
So a little bit more about space. It's 4,811 square feet, almost 5,000 square feet. So besides the makerspace, there's an events flex space. So there's movable tables and chairs. Students who intern with the companies will sit in this space. Students who are working with on their businesses can sit in this space, and then we also can move it around for events. That's where we have our pitch competitions. There's a state-of-the-art AV system in there. We have permanent desk space for startup companies. So we have hot desks and dedicated desks. If you think of a WeWork incubator, that's kind of like what we are. It's a co-working space where startup companies can come, work on their business, work with interns. We are going to be launching services for those companies, like a mentorship program, events. So it's a great opportunity for students to interact with entrepreneurs right on campus. And then we have amenities, including conference rooms, lounge space, kitchen area that is dedicated to the entrepreneurs and the students working on their businesses. So even if students do not have a startup yet and they're not sitting in those permanent desks, they can still feel like they're working in a WeWork because we have all the amenities in the incubator for them. And I would say the design is cutting edge. So high exposed ceilings, polished concrete floors, glass garage doors that open and close for events. So it's a really cool space. My name is Stacey Sykes.
Oops. All right. Wow. I mean, talk about, a good place to start a global business, right? In a global city like New York. You're not going to find a resource like that at many universities in the United States. And again, I'm going to connect the film studies with this at the very end. But you can see here that just from a few of these highlights, Hofstra's Lawrence Herbert School of Communication, just based on the rankings, should impress you. You've listened to what I think is some very impressive information about entrepreneurship and studying entrepreneurship, becoming your own business owner. And now we're going to look and actually watch our dean give us a tour of the facilities. We're going to skip ahead here for the sake of time. Here we go. This is going to take us about 8 minutes. That will be perfect because we're running a little bit late here.
Hi, welcome. My name is Mark Lukashevitz. I'm the Dean of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication. And if you've ever watched Night at the Museum, we're going to kind of do Day at the Herbert School, minus students, minus faculty, but we're going to show you this terrific facility so that you can get a sense of what we do here and what we'll all be doing here when hopefully you're with us as we launch the fall term next fall. So let me first show you our little trophy case here. It's got a big 25 because we are celebrating our 25th anniversary as a communication school. You'll see the Emmy Award. We have literally dozens of Emmy Awards among our staff and faculty. We have the books down below that are just some of the books published by our faculty and scholars. And over here, we're very proud of this. This is 3 Marconi Awards. The Marconi Award is given for the best college radio station in the country by the National Association of Broadcasters. That's a professional group competing with other professional groups. 3 out of the last 5 years, our radio station has won that very prestigious award. We're very, very proud of it. And let me show you the radio station, actually, as we begin our tour here at the Herbert School. So, and I should mention, Brian Potts and his student aide, Raj, are with us shooting this. And Brian, if you can pan over, this is the WRHU newsroom, where students gather every day to produce a morning show every weekday, to produce a news program in the afternoon, sports shows, music shows, public service shows, community programming. That's all done out of this newsroom in these studios. And we have 3 radio studios, a mixed site, and then 2 proper studios. Let's walk in and have a look at one of those as I talk about it, because this isn't just for radio students. The radio station is the biggest student media organization at the school. It involves students from all across Hofstra because it's a tremendous fun experience and a tremendous learning experience for organizing work and for managing broadcasting in all its forms. So this is the first studio. And Brian, maybe you can swing around over to that side and I'll keep talking as we talk about the equipment in here. So the morning show is produced in here. The sports program is produced in here. Newsline every afternoon is produced in here. And they use some of the finest equipment available. We updated the radio station a year and a half ago to fully digital equipment, and it is extremely up to date. The equipment that these students use is the same they'll use recording podcasts or audio programming or doing film sound out in the real world. So it's a tremendous asset for the students to be able to use this. And we do a tremendous amount of programming in here, and the students love it. So WRHU, open to all students across Hofstra to apply to. You can apply now to join the station. You just go to their website. It's really one of the best things going here at the Herbert School. Brian, maybe, again, if you can swing around me to show some of the equipment. This is equipped with Pro Tools. So that's one of the top, in fact, the top software for audio production in film particularly, but also in music. This is the classroom where students learn how to use those tools with this equipment. And through the window there to Brian, to your left, you'll see a mixed studio where we can bring in bands, we can bring in speakers, and the students can really learn and practice multi-track recording, multi-track audio production, all in this facility. You'll see a lot of Macs around. The Macs are all updated regularly, and this building is fully equipped with both Mac and PC labs to do the various parts of work that the students need to do. Okay, let's keep going on this night day at the Herbert School Tours. This is the equipment room that houses all the equipment, and Brian can show you that they do that with, whether it's the Ursa Mini or the television, the Panasonic, primarily television cameras. We also have 3 ARRI Alexa cameras which are brand new, and that is the premier film camera in the world right now. And 80% of Oscar productions have been produced with that camera. We have those cameras for our students here. So we're very proud of that. So this is Studio A. Come on in here, Brian, and let's show folks this studio. We're very proud of this. This is 3,800 square feet, 3 stories tall. This is as big as the biggest studio available in the CNN complex worldwide. Our students get to work in a space like this, and it's tremendously well equipped. If you look over here, you'll see the television cameras, which we use for multi-camera productions. They're all 4K HD cameras. We also have a jib over here, which Brian can show you. A jib is becoming a standard piece of equipment in a lot of television studios. Our students get to work with that. And you'll see here one of the several sets under construction that our students are going to be using for film production. So there are film productions in here, there are multi-camera live television productions in here, all sorts of projects can happen in this space. And this is just one of 3 studios we have in this building. It's unusual to have a space this size for students to be able to work with, and we're very proud that they get that chance, that you will get that chance in this facility. So let's go to another studio, which is just across the hall. So this is Studio B. Studio B is mainly used for our news and information and talk programming. And we just renovated it this January. Again, we're very proud of this spot. This is where Hofstra News Now is produced. This is where Hofstra Today is produced. This is where Sports Beat is produced. And any other productions the students want to do, either in their classwork or extracurricular work. Oh, I got that word wrong. Extracurricular work. This is a modern news and information and television production facility. Whether it's the screens behind me or the desk in front of me or all the technology that powers this room, students get a real-world experience. You've seen the 2 studios. Let me show you one of the 2 control rooms. Each studio has its own control room. You're going to hear the noise of the equipment a little bit here, Brian, but I'll try to speak up. But this is a first-rate, professional-grade, modern control room where students will learn how to produce multi-camera television with the graphics that go with it, with all the control equipment. There's an audio booth that goes with this as well. Every room has its own audio control. And whether you as a student intend to sit at a console like this as part of your career, whether or not that's your plan, knowing how this works, knowing how it affects the creative process, knowing what's possible with equipment like this is a big part of the advantage we think we can deliver to you here at the Herbert School. So this board gets very busy, particularly in the spring semester, as all of our students are doing their final productions. So let's, another control room here, that's for the Studio B control, similar thing, and the audio room next to it. Again, we talked about those audio skills elsewhere. That all comes into play here. So we're going to go upstairs now, and we have a very good facility for post-production. So our students not only get to work with professional-grade equipment in the field after they've written their screenplays, but they get to post-produce the film to a high degree of professionalism. So here are some shots of just some of our student filmmakers doing their student films over the last few years. And as you can see, they're sophisticated productions in their senior capstone films. They tend to hire actors, hire locations, really make it count. But they have to post-produce all that footage, and they do that in here. And this is our film finishing lab. And Brian's going to adjust the lighting because it's intentionally quite dim in here. But basically what happens in here is student filmmakers are able to use this facility and this console of equipment to color correct and to audio mix their film. It's a very important part of the process. There are chairs here so that their fellow producers, their directors of photography, the lighting director, the director of the film, they can all be in one room polishing the work that they see on the screen. A big part of the polishing is creating the audio, because the audio to a film often isn't recorded out in the field where it happens. So maybe somebody threw a rock in a film. You need to duplicate that sound. You do that in a space like this. This is a Foley lab. The Foley lab allows the student editor to display the film over here on a monitor, and then they use the sound effect tools available in this room to create that sound effect. So they would watch that piece of film, and at the moment that the rock needs to be thrown, they'd throw the rock, record the sound, mix it into the movie. all sorts of sound effects available here, from fabrics to crunchy materials to slippery materials. This is a Foley audio lab. It exists in every film post-production house in the world, not in every communication school, but here at the Herbert School, we do have it, and it gets very busy. One more thing I want to show you, and then our tour will be complete. Our facility allows for video and film editing in two formats, Adobe Premiere and Avid. Those two tools are available across the enterprise, and we have two big labs where we teach that editing, and this is one of them. This is our Avid Edit Lab. So film students and television students learn in one of these two rooms how to use their editing equipment with a professor who's expert in that art. And they can spend as much time as they like in here after hours and in individual edit suites, learning how to edit their films, learning how to post-produce the content they need. So that concludes our tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. There's some other things I couldn't show you. I want to mention one thing. We have a terrific little view book for the school because we'd love to see you here. We'd love to see you here in the fall when things normalize again, as I'm confident they will. And we'd love to welcome you to the class of 2024.
Okay, well, I hope that was really interesting. Here you'll see some of the famous graduates of Hofstra Film School. A very famous, one of the most famous American directors, Francis Ford Coppola, pictured there in the top left. And most of the screen are some of his movies. The Godfather, of course, being very famous, but you'll see he's done dozens, but these are just a few. I don't know if you recognize these actors, James Caan, and that's Christopher Walken there, but they're both Hofstra graduates. Another famous Hofstra graduate, when we're talking about combining the business and film schools, you look at Avi Arad, who's the CEO of Marvel Studios. Right, so this is a great example of someone who can, like yourselves, you might want to study film, but then get involved in entrepreneurship and combine those two to make, get into the movie business, for example, right? I was going to mention one other famous graduate who's been on TV a lot in the last week, not a film person, but you might know him and because of MMA, the fighter Chris Weidman. I don't know if you saw last week, he had a terrible accident. He's actually a Hofstra graduate as well, but not related to film studies, of course. I don't have time actually to get into our entry requirements so much, the costs, but I can tell you that, or I won't leave time for your questions, but student life is really excellent at Hofstra. There are a lot of options to live on campus, whether it's in singles or shared rooms. We have great scholarships available. For entering students with strong SATs, we have scholarships that even go up to about $30,000 for direct entry if you have strong SATs and a good GPA, right? But we also have progression scholarships. If you do well in your first year on the International Year One program, we give scholarships of about 25%. So that's another way to subsidize your education. We're considered one of the top 100 value schools in the US, and our students, as you're not surprised to know, they get placed in all kinds of global companies in New York and around the country. The placement rate is about 100%. Students who graduate from Hofstra, they are doing very well. So I hope you take an interest in both film studies, in entrepreneurship, in all of the other subjects, in fact, that are on offer here, and follow us on social media. I'm going to stop sharing. Actually, no, I'm going to continue sharing so you can write that down and open it up to some questions then, because I know we have about 5 minutes left. We have a lot of attendees.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Before we go to the questions, let me just give it quick information in Portuguese. Pessoal, a gente soltou aqui uma pesquisa sobre o nosso evento. Quem puder responder enquanto a gente verifica as perguntas. Alguém tem alguma dúvida? Gostaria de perguntar para o Jeff sobre a universidade, sobre as oportunidades que ele comentou. Temos alguns minutinhos ainda.
Pessoal, eu queria adicionar uma informação aí. A Hofstra University é uma universidade muito bacana, porque ela está bem pertinho de Nova York. Ela é uma universidade que tem essa vantagem, né, de ter um grande campus muito próximo da grande cidade, né? Isso é bem raro. Universidades que ficam mais no centro, né, mais ali em Manhattan e tal, normalmente são universidades de prédio. Ela tem um belíssimo campus, como vocês viram aí pelas apresentações, um excelente equipamento aí para quem quer fazer produção de cinema, etc. Não tem lugar melhor para estar do que Nova York. Então é isso. Se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, a gente está aqui para responder. Caso contrário, vocês podem também aí escanear o QR Code que está na tela e vocês conseguem ver a loja mais próxima de vocês por aí, também marcar uma conversa. Jeff, we have a couple of questions coming in.
Sure.
So one is, can I find the price? Can I find more about the scholarships and the prices on the website?
Absolutely, yeah. Also, Experimento can help you with all of the costs. So when it comes to the entry requirements and the process, honestly, Experimento, we've been partnering with them for so many years. They are absolutely experts in helping students with the details, with getting scholarships. We have a regional office in Sao Paulo. So that's really the best way to go, right? Make an appointment with a counselor there and they will help guide you through sometimes what's a tricky process. But there is money available. It does become affordable once you start looking at things like internships, work-study opportunities like becoming a resident assistant, for example, progression scholarships we talked about a little, but yeah, that information we can print it for you in Experimental, would be happy to provide it.
Bom, exatamente. No site pode ser um pouquinho mais complicado, viu, Luísa, encontrar essa informação, porque tá lá por crédito, aí tem in-state, out-of-state, taxas, aí tem seguro, tem uma série de coisas que não é tão fácil para você ver sozinha no site. Então, o ideal mesmo é entrar em contato com uma loja da Experimento, que eles conseguem te passar certinho os valores, as bolsas disponíveis. Tem uma outra pergunta aqui da Rafaela, can I apply without taking the SAT?
Sure, absolutely, of course, yeah.
Não é necessário o SAT para aplicação, principalmente se a gente fizer a entrada pelo International Year One. Se você for apta a fazer uma entrada que a gente chama de entrada direta, o SAT ele não é necessário para aplicação, mas ele é necessário para a bolsa. Então, dependendo, então procure uma orientação, procure uma loja, porque aí a loja pode te ajudar com isso também.
We can make this application process so easy. Basically, you just need a passport, your transcripts. Actually, you don't even need the passport. We just need an ID. Again, talk to Experimental, but they should be able to get you an offer to Hofstra within like 24 to 48 hours, really quickly. Yeah.
E agora, a última pergunta, I'll get that, okay, Jeff? Talking about foreign universities in general, how does the evaluation work? Então, sempre a avaliação ela é baseada na sua média de notas do ensino médio, tá? O que a gente chama de GPA. E para alguns casos é necessário o SAT, mas não faça o SAT sem antes conversar com uma loja, tá? Porque eles vão saber te orientar, porque pode ser que você precise ou não. Não saiam por aí, gente, fazendo TOEFL, SAT, pode ser que vocês nem precisem. Então, conversem com o consultor antes para eles te orientarem do que vocês necessariamente vão precisar.
Geralmente é muito mais simples do que eles imaginam.
Muito mais simples, exatamente. I guess that's it, right? I mean...
We're out of time, but Ray, thank you so much. Guilherme, Fernando, it was wonderful to see you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I hope it's successful. Everybody, welcome to Hofstra. Love to see you in New York soon. Be safe. Thanks
Thank
again.
You so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Pessoal, só lembrando que a nossa próxima palestra vai começar em alguns minutinhos, às 7h55, em 10 minutinhos. Vai ser sobre a St. Louis University, que é uma universidade incrível, que fica no estado do Missouri, dos Estados Unidos. E eles vão abordar a área de International Business. Então, não percam. A gente vai colocar o link aqui no bate-papo. Mas, uma boa noite a todos. Espero ver vocês lá.
Tchau, tchau.
Obrigado, Rai.